you know, doing ballroom dancing wasn't something that was done. None of my friends were doing it. I was the only kid in my entire high school that had even heard of it. And I was very different, and I didn't care because I loved it. And my dad always taught me that that's okay. So I owe him a lot of credit.
The few kids that really, you know, came in, I mean, you could tell they were serious just because it wasn't a thing, you know, about popularity. It wasn't about, you know, like, oh, well, everybody else is doing it, so let me do it.
I think it was our 7th or 8th grade dance where you have a gym and the girls are on one side and the guys on the other, and when they're dancing it's kind of like a baby Frankenstein walk. And Mayo shows up with his own dance shoes and is just twirling girls around.
So I used to make fun of his shoes a lot and just make fun of him for, you know, wanting to go off and do all this dance. Up until the point in high school where he started pulling like these really hot older girlfriends.
His friends kind of looked at him askance that he was going to go off and do dancing. You're going to go dancing? Okay. And I think they thought the only people that go dancing are gay, so I think he got a little bit of that people thought he was gay because he was dancing. And he just laughed it off because he said, "You just don't have any idea how many pretty girls I'm dancing with, fellas." He just couldn't care less.
And it was very interesting because he took to it right away. And he dealt with people very comfortably, you know. Mayo kind of was the type of personality. He looks, you know, like a little boy, and at that point he was a little boy, and he dealt with people, you know, in a very mature way.
He was gone like a shooting star, and he started dancing with them, and they need male dancers because, as you can imagine, there's always a lot more girls that want to dance than boys. So they actually taught him for free because they wanted him there.
Dancing to me was the perfect mix of music, sports, and hot chicks. And, you know, I went in there the first day and I danced with all these beautiful women, and I was this little awkward kid, and I was like, the girls like this. So I started doing it, and at first it was just kind of a for fun thing, and I didn't think it would ever become anything really serious, but the more I did it, the more I loved it, and the greater my passion for it grew.
So he kind of started dancing. He danced for about a year socially. You know, he'd come into the group classes, he would come into the parties, practice with the older people. You know, and he was very comfortable with it, and you know, he never felt out of place, you know, because that's the thing you watch with kids, you know, it's like at that point, you're talking about, you know, 60, 70 people here in a party, and, you know, maybe 2 kids, you know, I mean, teenagers, and then you have Mayo, you know, 12 years old, dancing with ladies who are, you know, 3 times his age.
And Mayo, although he was 13, was already taller than most of the women, like maybe he was 5, 8, 9 by the time he was 13. So he was a good height, and he just had a blast dancing with all different kinds of ladies, the older ones, the younger ones, medium-sized ones, but he did keep going back to the prettiest girl, who was Melissa, who's now married to the owner of the Shundo Ballroom Dance Studio, and she did become his first partner.
And I was in my early 20s and he was 12, and I had, you know, been dancing a year, so I thought I was doing okay. And we had parties every Thursday night. There was a party, and so when I came into the party, Mondo, who at the time was my teacher, I'm married to him now, but I wasn't then, he came over and he said, you know, we have a young guy coming in, his mom had called and he's interested in ballroom, so when I bring him into you, I want you to be nice to him and show him a couple dances. So here comes this, you know, cute little 12-year-old, blonde hair, best posture ever. He was dressed up, and he sat, I introduced myself, we met, he sat down next to me, and the first song that came on, well, what's this song? Well, this is a foxtrot. Can you show me? Okay. So I get up and I show him the foxtrot, and he, you know, right away, great frame, great presence, and we did the foxtrot and we got to the end, we sat down, he said, how'd I do? You did good. Well, what's this song? oh, this is a cha-cha, can you show me? So that's kind of how our first meeting progressed. And I probably danced 20, 30 songs with him that night. And then every once in a while I'd make one of the other ladies dance with him. But from that night, I mean, he just had this presence on the dance floor. You would never know he was 12. You would think he was just an experienced 30-year-old man taking a woman out to a dance floor with that much confidence.
I'd say maybe 2 years into it, I was all ready. I was like, okay, I want to be a pro. I want to be a world champion. I want to dance this. I want to make this my life, and I never want to stop.
They did a lot of competing together, and they did look quite good together. She has sort of same color hair, she was tall, and so their competitions were pretty successful. She started driving him off to Tucson and Phoenix and San Diego and places that were not too hard to get to. And so they started competing fairly soon, and Mayo got a taste of the fun it is to win.
He had a younger junior partner a little bit before me, but she started learning to dance for her quinceañera. And so they continued after, and Mondo took him to a competition, but she wasn't real interested in, she wanted to look pretty, but she wasn't real interested in long-term dancing or, becoming very proficient at the art. And so I could tell that summer that this was getting a little bit disillusioned and a little bit bored. We hadn't seen him for a whole summer. He would go off to a horse camp, and there was a little competition going on in Phoenix. So I wanted to go to Phoenix and just watch it and be around dancing, because when you're a dancer, you love that. And I called his mom and I said, hey, I'm going to Phoenix. Could I take Mayo with me so he could see a competition? So his mom was real cool and said, yeah, sure, he can have a road trip with you. So Mayo and I took off, went to Phoenix, got all dressed up, went there, watched the competition. And at one point during the competition, they have what they call a Jack and Jill, where you can pay to dance with a pro dancer. So I paid for Mayo to dance with this pro dancer named Joanna Sean, and so that he could feel what a real professional dancer felt like. He got out there and was dancing with her, and he came back and he was like, that's what I want to do. So on the way home from Phoenix on the drive, I told him, now I'll partner with you, but you need to know I'm a grown-up. I don't have time to mess around and do it for fun. I'm doing it for serious. If we're going to do it, we're going to work hard, and you're going to have to work really hard for me. Yeah, I'll do it. And he did. Never had a problem with his work ethic when it came to dancing.
My first competition was, I'll talk about my first big one, was USA Dance. National championship, and I went with Melissa Bamberg.
The first competition, he messed up, and Mayo's just the most easygoing, great, good-tempered guy, and he forgot what we were doing.
I thought I was pretty hot stuff when I was going there, and I was training in El Paso, and I was the best dancer in El Paso, and I was like, I'm gonna go win this thing. I'm gonna bring back the trophy for El Paso, make everybody proud. And I got there, and I got my ass kicked so hard. I had no idea what the dance world was like. I was nobody. I knew nothing.
We ended up getting to the next level, and each one he progressively got a little bit more confident.
I danced good for what I knew, and I got slaughtered. So that's the thing, man. You don't realize where you sit until you put yourself in the challenging situations. I started in El Paso, and I had the resources that El Paso had to offer me, which in the ballroom dance world isn't that much. I had some great encouraging coaches that made it fun for me, but as far as becoming a technical, world-class competitive ballroom dancer, there wasn't the instruction here for it.